Hello, my name's Bryan Krystellos. When I was a kid, my mom used to tell me, go do the dishes. We don't have time for you to lounge around and do nothing. And I said, Mom, I don't want to. I want to sit down and watch the telly. But she said, you must go do the dishes. I got mad, I got furious. And I ran outside and I found a leaf similar to this. Do you know why this leaf is important? Let me show you again. It has little holes in it. Little holes, I can see it. It's dead. Let's face it. I went outside and grabbed a dead leaf. But what's important is that how that leaf died. It died because of a thing we like to call time. Time. The time it takes to orbit the sun. The time the moon takes to orbit the earth. What makes time time? I'm glad you asked. Today we're going to talk about interdimensional travel. We're going to talk about the fourth, the fifth, and possibly the sixth dimension. Won't you join me? Won't you join all of us as humans in the fifth dimension?
Well, you see, in order to first properly analyze time, you have to look at the history of time. You see, time was invented, or the concept of time, was invented in the year 1316, when a man named Clock Swellington, hence the term clock, he said that he wanted to be able to measure the time between now and now. You see, he didn't have any way of measuring it before that, but after countless, what we now know as hours, he then devised a way to measure time by swinging a pendulum and counting when the pendulum reaches the bottom of the swing.
Butter and margarine are the same thing, but you know, they're not the same thing. You see, I've learned that if you drop a stick of butter on the ground, right, and you wait a little while, all the ants will come and they'll cover the butter and they'll eat the butter. But when you drop margarine on the ground, the ants stay away from it because the ants know that the margarine is not butter.
It's beautiful outside and I'm having a great time. But what's really interesting, and what I find interesting, is how we all came to be. The word history. It all makes sense. But why does it make sense? The fifth dimension doesn't make any sense. Well, I have many ideas and I have many not ideas, but my many ideas do concur. I think we're about to be onto something very interesting. Stay tuned.
Well, in order to make time, first you need to analyze, seconds to hours, okay? So the seconds, they go to minutes. And in order to make a minute, when you're inventing a clock, you have to first make the hand that goes all the way around and counts said minute. The thing that you need to do past that is you need a hand that chases the minutes, and it counts each one individually as it goes through. And as that goes around, you have your hours hand, and that counts the hours of the day. But first, we had to devise how many hours are there in a day. Well, we said to ourselves, the sun and the moon are very, very great observations that we can make on time. So what we did, we first analyzed the moon, and the moon turned out to not be such a great measurement of time because the moon is very inconsistent. Sometimes it's full, sometimes it's waxing, sometimes it's waning, so it didn't work. So then we went to the sun, and we found out that the sun every day takes 24 hours to travel around our planet. So we divided 24 by 2, and now we have the 12 numbered clock that we have today.
Time You don't even know the beginning of the word. All right, let's break down time. Let's break it down. What is time? Time. Question mark. What is it? Time stands for tomorrow is more, this is the key, etc. Now where do we go from there? Look at this word. Look at this word more. What is more? More relates to less. Now, what this, stay with me. Stay with me. Less is more. Yeah. Now where do we go from here? I asked that same question for 30 years. I was stuck. Less is more. What does it mean? What does it mean? Tomorrow. Tomorrow, less is more, etc. That's when it all was clear to me. This is where it gets really, really interesting. Think about it. Time. Time, fourth dimensional object. So you think. So you think. But tomorrow, less is more. That means tomorrow, less will be more. Time will not be a fourth dimensional object. Fourth is less. More. Fifth dimensional object. Time is actually of the fifth dimension. Now I know what you're thinking. I know what you're saying. You're saying, Jonathan, you're crazy. You're crazy. That's not right. Get out of our basement. This is why Deborah left you. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Sure?
Turn it off.
Are you sure?
Turn it off.
So, in order to analyze time and clocks, as a clock engineer, I have to be able to build one of these and explain to you how this is worked. So this is what I'm gonna exactly explain to you what this is. This is the clock, the minute hand, the hour hand, and this one's special. It doesn't have a seconds hand. You don't need the seconds hands. So, I pried off the back a little bit to be able to show you a little bit more of the inner workings. Right here, you have what's called the chrono wheel. Now the chrono wheel, it propels the clock. And right here, this little thing right here, this is the time capacitor. The time capacitor, it takes time from the universe, just soaks it up in order to propel this. Now, if we go a little bit deeper into this, and we look right at it, into its
I think I'll call him Gerald. Looks like time caught up with him. Well, we've learned about the history of time, and we learned about clocks. But what else can we learn about? In order to learn more about time, we need to go to the source of time itself. We need to talk to the man who created time, the man who guards time, the guardian of time, Kairos Jonathon. Stay with us. I have many names. Kairos, Jonathon, Archmage of Time. I am an Archmage of Time. I come from the fifth dimension. And you know what? You don't know anything about time. I know everything. Long ago, far galaxies away, there was a man. His name was Sunstrider 6'5". He was my father. He popped me out of his belly button, hatched from an egg. Hey, little Kairos Jonathon, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? He pulls me out. Little baby. He kisses me. He bestows upon me the hourglass of eternity. He flips it over. He says, you have 1 year to go to the fifth dimension and become better than you could even fathom. So I go to the fifth dimension and I'm in the fifth dimension, and I can't even, I'm saying my eyes are bleeding and I'm just, whoa! My dad pops out of the 6th dimension and I'm just, whoa, Sunstrider 6'5". He says, Kairos Jonathon, I gotta give you something. Something bad's happening in the 4th dimension and I don't know what's gonna happen next. If you don't flip the hourglass of eternity in less than 15 minutes, things are gonna happen that are very bad, and things are gonna happen that are very bad that you don't want to happen to you, alright? So you need to flip the hourglass. You need to get to the 17th dimension in order to flip the hourglass in time before the world collapses in itself and the universe implodes. And I said, wow, that's a lot to handle. Sunstrider 6'5", he says, you're my son, Kairos Jonathon, archmage, guardian of time. It's up to you to make sure this galaxy, this world, this universe is protected. So you need to flip the hourglass. And you know what I did? Yeah, I flipped the hourglass of time. Oh, I didn't see it then. Well, that was quite interesting, introspective, and perhaps a little scary. But it was an adventure nonetheless. I'd like to thank you and all our viewers for joining me and everyone here on the cast in the 5th dimension. I hope to see you next time.